joining us. Hey, what's up? It's me, Awesome Alley.
And I'm Race, and welcome back to another amazing live. We are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, and today we have a very unique topic. I think we're becoming more creative with what we come up with, and that becomes from you. And it also is inspired by the theme of Halloween. So Halloween, yes, Halloween was just yesterday. We did a few episodes. We went with Epic Generation. We were doing one with the politician for Halloween, which has been rescheduled. So thank you for your patience. And now we are here to give you a really good topic: how great jump scares in horror movies are made and how this translates into making a masterful sales speech. So this is going to be very exciting. On Instagram, we have Farhana and Lizzie Try. They are watching. Hello. On Facebook, we have one person watching with the likes. Thank you. And that reminds me, make sure you you comment, and you share this live. You also join this conversation by commenting or asking a question. Okay, so that was a lot, but let's kick it off with our quote of the day.
Fantastic. Thank you, Race. I'm very excited for this live today. Thank you, Race. Today's quote of the day is by Alfred Hitchcock. He said, "There's no terror in the bang, only in the anticipation of it." And you'll get to understand that quote more throughout this Facebook Live and Instagram Live today. So, Raisa, before we even break it down and get into it, what is your perspective on this quote?
Honestly, Ali, I absolutely love it because it applies so much to what we do in life. As you know, Alfred Hitchcock, he is a masterful, wonderful, absolutely famous director. He was the original film directors in the film industry. One of his most famous horror movies was Psycho, following our Halloween theme. And when he says the anticipation, the lead up is always there. It's like you could compare it to when we're going to do something in life, whether we're going for a competition, whether we're going for like a new job, a new interview, a new venture, for example. There's always this anticipation and buildup of different types of emotions: fear, anxiety, excitement, all over the place, till we get to the top and we say, "Oh my gosh, you know what? That wasn't too bad." The bang, right? It happens, it's done, it's one and done, and then you go. It's like how our James, our
mentor,
our mentor James was talking about that champion mindset for athletes. There's so much work that they do to build up to get to that high ranking position, but it's so hard for them to stay champion because the bang it's already there. You know what I mean? They're already champion. What more do they have to work up for?
Like with the anticipation, is as if you're going after your goal. Hello, Kid Everest. It's like when you're on your journey and you're grabbing your goals and your mindset and you're building this all up. That's anticipation. That's anxiety. And once you reach it, the bang, like you said, and then, after that, it's over. You have to move on to the next scene or the next goal. Thank you, Everest, for waving. So what are this topic actually, how jump scares are created in some of the best horror movies. That was actually from a YouTube video done by Insiders. So if you're interested, Rachel, I will put the link to that video in the description and the caption for you to watch that on your own time. But thank you for joining us. So there are 6 steps to creating the best jump scares, and there are also 6 steps to creating a masterful sales speech. And the first one are breadcrumbs. So these are little hints that something scary is about to happen, like a jump scare is about to happen. And in many horror films, this will be like the closet door starts to open, there's a noise in the corner when they're home alone, the lights start to go out, things start to act paranormal, like thank you for the likes and love. And in the sales speech, this is known as seed planting. This is where whatever product you're selling at the end, right? You start to drop these little benefits of it throughout your speech. The first 3/4 of your speech should be seed planting. And this is where you start to drop the benefits of your product in your speech, throughout your speech. So you could be talking about something, you're like, this book has changed so many people's lives. And then you change the topic. not to something completely different, but you just move on from that point. So in your audience's mind, while you're speaking, that book changed that person's life. I want that book. So that seed starts to grow from I want it to I have to have it, I must have it, and I need it. So it starts to grow. And when they're at that need it, that's when you harvest it. So with the seed planting, right, you don't want it to drop it all at once. You want it to make it really subtle throughout your speech. Not all together, but really like, hey, yeah, this is great here. Boom, move on with the content, drop another one. And you want to harvest all of them, especially if you're doing a product that includes like a giveaway at the end. So it's one-on-one coaching. You can get my book, blah, 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 right? For that book, you have to make sure there's some sort of emotion that they wanted. If it's one-on-one coaching, they have to have an emotional attachment to that, or you're not going to make your sale. Raisa, any thoughts on that?
No, I really like how you said you need to have that emotional connection. Latifa Back says hi on Facebook. Hi, Latifa. Samir is watching on Instagram. Hi, Samir. How you guys doing?
Hello, thank you.
What I love about that is because you are always making an emotional connection everywhere you go, whether it's in your sales speech or whether you're speaking or whether you're in a horror movie, or even reading a book. The whole point of you connecting with the author is creating that kind of emotional attachment to each other and building that emotional relationship so that you benefit from their services and they benefit from your participation in those services and in turn becoming better.
So that would be related to what with a horror movie? The audience participation.
It would actually be related to audience participation. Thank you.
Would be limited view.
Exactly. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but we're going to go right back into Ali's points. Thank you for the love and the likes.
So the first, thank you. Hey, thank you for joining us. So the first one was breadcrumbs in horror movies, and then into sales speech, it is seed planting. The next one is the build up. So build up in a horror movie can also be a build up in a sales speech, but it was what we called a mystery. So the build up in a horror movie is where the tension starts to build. This is where everything, like the quote said, there's no terror in the bang, but in the anticipation. So the more stuff starts to pile on top, it raises your anxiety level. That's the build up there. More things start to go wrong. After the banging, you go check it out, nothing's there, and then you hear it somewhere else. So your anxiety levels start to raise. And in a sales speech, this is called the mystery. This is the glue that holds your speech together. So some of the best things that you can do in a sales speech to create some sort of mystery are telling stories. And you want it to be, some stories actually, some of the best ones are with an unexpected ending, right? So it's like they had the worst life, blah, 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 and then bang, something dramatic change. Those always tend to get people motivated, but make sure it has some sort of relevancy to your topic. The next one is also to tell people to listen. Sometimes it's just as blank as that, as easy as that. And a great example is, okay, so Raisa, we're in the middle of a speech. I suggest you write this down. I suggest you listen really carefully right now to hear this major point, right? Giving little subtle things like that and grab the audience attention back, because you don't want them to be like wandering off. Imagine going along with a theme of movie. If you are in a movie theater, right? When you first walk in, you watch the ads and the movie begins. If this is a really bad, or not bad, but it's not the best movie, right? It's not a 96% Rotten Tomato movie, right? You'll start to look towards the exit sign. It's going to draw your attention. You're going to look to the person in front of you and see their head. You're going to look to see what that noise is. You're not going to be focusing on the movie, but rather just the things around you. But if it's a really good movie, right, you're going to feel as if you're inside of it. And you want people to make sure they can feel that emotional connection with you while you're on stage. Even though there might be hundreds of people, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even 5 people, you want that emotional connection with every single person. And you can do this by telling stories, telling them to pay attention and letting them know that there's more information to come. Like there's something big coming towards the end, like the build-up.
Exactly. There's a great example here in the actual video that we, took inspiration from. They were comparing it to the movie of Jason in New York. So that killer in the horror movie.
Jason in Manhattan.
Yeah, thank you, Ali. Jason in Manhattan. And one of the things is when people are walking off, there's a scene that they keep referring to where it's Jason the killer's behind the couple in Manhattan. They're just walking and they're walking off. And because there's no jump scare, there's no buildup, there's no connection. When they see Jason, they're scared, right? They're the actors, but the audience does not feel anything like that. They just feel like they're still on a walk and, oh, there's a creepy guy in the costume. It doesn't really bring the intensity as it should. And there's some people on Instagram. Fadia is here. So proud of you guys. Thank you. Samir, I saw your comment about great points. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Power of storytelling. Exactly. And Farhana says,
agree.
Exactly.
Oh, great. Another great point with storytelling. An old saying is facts tell and stories sell. Just remember that. Why do you think like almost every single company will ask you for a review, or like what if it was called? Like when you give it a testimony, that's what it's called, a testimony. Like they'll, give us a testimonial. Okay, yeah, this helped me so much. They'll ask you to write a review, 5 stars, because those are stories, those are real people, and they can use that to promote their products and services. The next one, so number 3 in a horror movie, actually we'll continue to use the Jason story here, is misdirection. So what is misdirection? This is where the director purposely makes you focus on something while the threat is in another instance. So you might be focusing on I can't remember what movie they were using here, but even the horror movie, they might put an object right in front of you right here, and you're going to expect something to happen, and then the arm shoots out and grabs you from the side there.
Yes. I know which movie you're talking about. I don't remember. It's it's the one where the kid starts seeing Sixth Sense. There it is.
Yeah.
The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Exactly. And
then the famous one is medicine cabinet. Use is where you'll have the medicine cabinet there and you'll look at it, you'll open it, there's nothing there, and then you close it and there's a person behind you. That's a sense of misdirection.
Well, it's the mirror, right?
Yeah, the mirror. That's what I mean.
Exactly. The misdirection, because you're creating the obstacles in your sales pitch, right? You're creating this kind of tension. You're giving them the benefits. What we can see is that when we're doing a sales speech and we're creating these kind of obstacles that people already have in their life. So it's not coming from our imagination. We're going to give you this big mountain to climb. No, it's the fact that we have identified some of the things that you're going through, and now we want to give you the benefits. So in horror movies, you can always see that there's a benefit to solving that problem, whether it's a ghost, whether it's a haunted house, whether it's a killer. There's always like a psychic medium, there's a cure, there's like running away, right? And all of those kind of obstacles need to be overcome by finding out what those solutions are.
So in a sales speech, right, creating obstacles builds the emotion in the audience because they want something, but you put an obstacle in there that's so big that you want your obstacles when you're in a sales speech to be something so massive, but not too big that you lose your audience completely. Two main obstacles that people tend to come in with, actually. A little side note is when you're doing a speech, add some humor, make it relatable, because with humor, people tend to drop their guard down, and that's when you can penetrate through. So with a sales speech, right, and I was just a little disclaimer, Reese and I are not 100% experts in this. We are still learning this ourselves. We're just passing on some knowledge that we've learned from our top-end mentors to you, so you can use this and learn alongside us. So when you create the obstacle, you want it to be something big, but not something too big that you lose your audience. Two main obstacles that people tend to come in with are time and money. Those are two really big obstacles people will just come in with because they don't really want to buy something right away. So if you can create an obstacle around that and then take that down, you'll definitely, not 100%, but your percentage in, what's that word I'm looking for? I can't remember right now. But the percentage of you closing will definitely go up because you've been able to remove it. Like if you're going on a retreat to Hawaii and you're going to do a workshop, right? And price is $10,000, but then you're like, you know what? Why don't I just hold a workshop right here in Toronto and price is only $997, right? You'll see that a lot of times. People say it's somewhere else and they'll bring it to you. So that's an obstacle, and then they have destroyed it. Any thoughts, Risa?
No. Emma on Instagram is sending us lots of hearts, and a lot of people are sending us hearts there. Thank you. Hello to you. We're gonna move on to audience participation,
which in horror movies is what we call limited view. And you'll see this, it tends to happen more in the dark, right, Raisa? And I can't remember what they call it, but it's like a sharp cliff or like a cliff drop off in the thing. But it's like you'll have the camera will force you into places that you don't want to be. It's like when don't go in the basement, there's something there, or don't go in the closet, right? The camera follows the character sometimes, or when it's still, right? You're also used to movement that something big is going to happen, and this translates into with the limited view. It's like the dark parts, right? Where they tend to use this actually with cameras and lighting. So the camera angles and then different lighting techniques. Okay, yeah, different lighting techniques. So that's what horror movies tend to do. But in a sales speech, this translates into what?
It translates into
audience participation.
Yeah, exactly. Audience participation and feedback. Thank you, Ali.
Insidious vibes.
Insidious vibes. So when we're talking about audience participation, it's very important that you have feedback. As Ali was saying with tight frames, what they actually do in those horror movies is bring you into one direction, which you want to do in your sales speech. Every time that you're asking, hey, write this down. Hey, raise your hand. Oh, you know what? Do you agree? Yellow. Yes. You are bringing your audience back into one focus point that they can actually connect with you. So what I wrote this down here where it says the jump scares in a movie is the impact that you make with an audience. And that is very important because you're talking about, acting the same way a camera person is, slowing down your tone, raising up, having high energy. When the audience participates and they have low energy, what do? You have to bring them into a better state of mind. You need to bring them into a better perspective, because if they are at the same level as you and they are connected, then you're more likely to actually have a sale. So if they're having the high energy, but it's so high, they're probably not even going back and thinking. And you need to have that kind of that middle ground, which is why when we compare it to the horror movies and we're talking about tight frames, it will zoom into a closet in one way, or
go into dark areas.
Not even dark areas. There's another movie where the little boy, this is a very famous movie, you're having one person perspective of the camera.
I know.
So if the little boy is
The Shining.
The Shining, thank you. If the little boy is
Danny.
coming around, exactly. If the little boy's coming around the corner and the camera is on his perspective, you as the audience are following him till you won't see what's on the other side unless you go with him. As a speaker and putting in your speech, you are responsible for comforting your audience. You are responsible for keeping your audience safe. So every time you include audience participation, writing it down, putting in the notes.
You're matching their level.
Yeah, no, you're not matching their level. Sorry, I mean, you kind of are, but that's not the point I'm trying to get at. Sorry.
What is it?
You're
spit it out.
Yeah, I'm trying to spit it out. When you're putting it, you're getting there. You're coming from that one perspective. Sorry, I lost my thought. No, Ali had a good point there, where you are matching what
not
they're
matching
saying,
their vibe. you're trying to meet them where they're at and then bring them to the next level, right? Is that what you're trying to get to?
No, but we'll if I remember, we'll get back
We'll
to
move-
it. So
yeah.
we're just gonna move forward.
Okay, so the next.
Anissa says, "Oh, I like this new background."
Thank you, Anissa. Virtual background. Sorry, Instagram, you can't see it. Maybe later in the future. So the next thing in a horror movie is the sting. And this is a loud, sharp sound that just, and not anticipate, but adds to the jump scare. So this is the jump scare. Like when the scare happens, the sting, right? The famous one is from Jaws, where it's like dun 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 dun, right? And that's where like you see the shark come around or something unexpected happens, right? That's the sting. It just some sort of, what am I trying to, the sound that adds to the scare. In the movie, actually, there was a Pop-Tart scene. There was some, I can't remember. A lot of movies tend to actually use the sting or this certain sound to give you a fake jump scare. So if you'll think something's gonna happen and then they scare you with like a normal type of situation. So they build anticipation and then relieve it with a normal type of situation, and that would be considered a fake jump scare. Raisa?
No, that was good. Farhana says, I was gonna say the movie where you keep hearing you'll float too, but that's where the jump scares are. Oh, It. Sorry, I saw I only. Yes, Farhana on Instagram was talking about the jump scares in the movie It with the giant clown, the Stephen King, based on the Stephen King novel It. Very good, Farhana. There has been a lot of jump scares, and Ali's, that's what we're actually going to move into right now, which is the threat, or in the sales speech, the fear of loss. So jump scares are
the sting is one-liners.
Yeah. No, I'm not talking about powerful statements. I'm moving into threat because when you talk about threat and so anyways, jump scares, they do have a lot of effects in those movies, and that comes with, having those like, oh, okay, now I see where you're getting with the powerful statements you'll float to.
Yeah, so the sting.
That was my opinion.
Yeah, so the sting in a horror movie, right? So in a horror movie, the next thing under that is the sting. That's where the jump scare happens. But in a sales speech, the sting is what we call a one-liner. And these are powerful statements that get your message in a nice, simple way to the audience in a powerful way that impacts them in the soul, right? Quote unquote, in the soul. And that makes them compelled to listen to you more. So those are one-liners. And then the threat, Raisa.
Yes.
So that's the scare. This is where the anticipated threat, like the person's coming out, right? This is the scare, the whole anticipation, the buildup, the emotions, the anxiety levels all the way up here. And now this is when the threat comes in, or the fake threat. So, Raisa, what is this?
One very important thing about this is that when you have fear of loss, you always have to make sure that when you're actually doing a sales speech or like a movie, is you're always taking your audience on a roller coaster adventure. And depending on how intense you want to have that roller coaster adventure, you'll be mindful to not just hang them at the top for too long, because then your jump scares won't be effective. Then your sales speech won't be effective, and everything that you've built up for, there won't be a nice letdown or slow descent. There would be,
the crescendo.
Not the crescendo.
The crescendo would be considered the jump scare. That's where you want to close.
Exactly. Anyways, it's a powerful motivator, right? When you have a powerful motivator, you're emphasizing on what you want to have your product buy. What you want your customers to buy from you, right? Sorry about that. When you have that kind of emphasis and you have that powerful motivator, you're at the top of the roller coaster, right? And again, as I said, you're not having a slow descent. You're having this massive drop. You're having them drop in the emotions. You're having a drop there, and you're bringing the suspense.
Yes, so that's the fear. That's fear of loss. So the threat, right, in a horror movie translate to a fear of loss in a sales speech, and the fear of loss is a powerful motivator, like you were saying. And this is where you take someone's fears related to your topic, and it might sound a little harsh, but if you kind of use it against them to create that emotion that you want, and then your product solves that problem. So they're like, wow, this whole bunch of relief. You don't have enough money to take care of yourself after retirement or take care of your family. If this is you right now, I have a solution for that. And then you give them to that. Your product is supposed to remove that fear of loss, remove the obstacles, use the buildup. And once all these things line up, you'll be at that crescendo point, and that's where you close. And that in a horror movie would be considered your jump scare. So just a quick rundown of the different parts. Let me grab the notes. So in a horror movie, this is just a wrap up for today, and we'll talk about how to close a sales speech in another Facebook Live. In a horror movie, step 1 is breadcrumbs. Leave the audience, okay, something's about to happen. And in a sales speech, those are seed plants. Number 2 is the buildup. The anticipation, like Alfred Hitchcock said, and in a sales speech, that's mystery. Number 3 is misdirection. In a sales speech, that's creating obstacles. Rachel, what's number 4?
The sting, and then you have which is your one-liners. You have the threat. Limited view. Yeah, limited view, limited view is 5, which is your audience participation. You have your sting, which is the one-liners. You have your threat, which is the fear of loss.
And then the triumpha, the crescendo, the jump scare, which is your close. This was presented by APSO. Awesome people.
Shaping our world.
Remember, you are awesome.
And you can make the world a better place.